Hello, and welcome to the University of Law. I've not done much of this before, which is actually to review a story that came out a while ago. So it's a bit of an unboxing. Obviously, I'm not taking the wrapper off because I took that off many years ago, but we're going through the packaging of an older story, older Big Finish release, and talking about my thoughts on it. Um, so as you can see, I've got the latest Vortex up because we've got Elixion, which is a new Lost Story release for the Seventh Doctor and Ace. This isn't their first time doing a Lost Story, though, because when Doctor Who was cancelled in 1989, there was a whole extra series planned. I think there were lots of storylines, with TV productions. Lots of episodes are planned and discussed, but not all of them would have made it to the final cut. Over the years, we've had several of those stories done as books, audio dramas. There was one audio drama very early on in the Big Finish range, which was meant to be for television, which got made. And then the Lost Stories did essentially a four story arc, which Andrew Cartmel came in and oversaw, which basically told the main story of what they were going to do had Doctor Who continued into 1990. So what I'm doing, in light of Elixion on its way, is I'm going to be looking at the previous season 27 stories that we've had released. And today I'm looking at Thin Ice, which was going to be the season opener. There was a bit of a curse in the classic series, which is whenever they wanted to bring the Ice Warriors back in the 1980s, Doctor Who always ended up on a hiatus. It happened in 1985-86 and it happened in 89-90. Thankfully, since then we've had them twice in the Capaldi era and we're still here. So this story varies from the televised version that would have happened in the sense that Ace continues travelling with the Doctor in the story. Originally, this was going to be when she left to become a Time Lord, which is what the Doctor had always been preparing her for. To keep it in line with the Big Finish stuff, obviously her travelling with Hex comes later. They've kept her travelling with the Doctor at the end of this, so she's in the whole arc. But eventually we do end up having Ace on Gallifrey later in the Big Finish, so that this fits as kind of being the opening to what's eventually going to happen later, in the Big Finish range. So I love this packaging. Found at last. Now there's going to be spoilers in this. This release is about 13 years old at the time of recording, so I'm gonna give spoilers because it's been out for a while. Another reason for listening to this actually is that I've been recently reading the Remembrance of the Daleks target novel, rereading that novel because I'm going to a book signing with Ben Aaronovitch in a couple of weeks' time, and Ben Aaronovitch was one of the creative. He had a lot of creative input into this Lost Story season and writes the finale with Andrew Cartmel. So I listened to that as well in kind of preparation for going to see him. So it's been great with that and Elixion on its way to do that. Now, I think sometimes with Doctor Who, with anything really, the grass is greener on the other side. I think things like Star Wars, Rise of Skywalker, which I did enjoy actually, but you hear about the original plan, Colin Trevorrow, his plan for Drill of the Fates, and you kind of really think, oh, I wish they'd made this. But I think, had that been made, would we be looking at Rise of Skywalker saying, I wish they'd made that? I think sometimes the grass is green on the other side, and especially with Doctor Who, often you think, oh, why didn't they do that? Why didn't they make that? But actually, I think, had they done what we wish they'd done, I think if we'd heard about what they actually did, I think you always want to see what they didn't do. Having said that, this is a particularly strong season of stories. Andrew Cartmel, in my opinion, was a fantastic script editor on Doctor Who. Really had a clear vision. It was a vision that essentially informed what Russell Davies did in his incredible relaunch of the series in 2005, that continuation of Doctor Who. But it shines here. What I will say is that it does feel very Stephen Moffat at times, this audio series, and I do wonder because it was being made during the kind of early Matt Smith era, and it does feel like that. Now, whether it was being inspired by what was going on the telly at the time, or whether it's simply this is what was going to happen, and it just happens that it fits Stephen Moffat's vision, I'm not sure. That aside, I really enjoyed this. Great to see the Ice Warriors back. They're really well done in this story. There's a great setting. What you don't expect is I expected it to be Rain Creevy, who is the Doctor's companion in this series. It's not. It's actually the story of how her parents meet. So Beth Chalmers is playing her own character's mum in this story, but her mum is Russian, so she's got a Russian accent in this story. And I think Ricky Groves plays her dad, and he was Gary in EastEnders. I recognised him from the voice. I'd forgotten he was in it. Listening, I thought, isn't that Gary? And then I thought, oh yeah, Gary was in one of them, wasn't he? And then I got the booklet out, which you'll be able to see in here. You can see on the inside we've got the old logo in. Here he is, yeah. Gary from EastEnders. So I do miss these old booklets because, you know, they're a lot thicker than the ones you get today. You get notes from the writer, production notes, Mark Platt, who obviously wrote on the original Seventh Doctor era. Yes, he wrote Ghostlight, and he would have written Lungbearer, which obviously was a book that I'd love them to do a novel adaptation of. He's done some other great stuff with Big Finish as well. We've got cast photos in there as well. And then these are really cool. These are kind of shots from the story had it been made. Yeah, it's a really strong Ice Warrior story, really fun Ice Warrior story. It does feel a little bit like Cold. Is it Cold War? Was it? I think it was Cold War, wasn't it? The Mark Gatiss story. It does feel quite similar. Obviously, that was about a couple of years, maybe a year after this came out, actually. And in fact, they must have been in production at the same time at some point. It would have been great if they'd been able to have a crossover, because there's some similarities, and they could easily have kind of had it be the same group of Ice Warriors. Actually, that would have been quite fun. Obviously, credits at the end. Yeah, here we go. Look, we got the Doctor Who magazine from the latest Doctor Who magazine for the time is one about they're advertising the Christmas Carol DVD. So yeah, this is 2012. And the Paradigm Daleks, I wish they'd done. I should do some videos on them. I wish they'd done more of them. I loved them, and I had the figure of that one as well. I loved the Paradigm Daleks. So coming up next is Crime of the Century, written by Andrew Cartmel, and I will at some point in the near future be reviewing that next. But yeah, if you've not, well, that's another thing with these. We had different disc arts. We've got the Seventh Doctor and Ace. Oh, hello. And we've got an Ice Warrior on the back. I think I was meant to... well. I'll fix that later. But yeah, so it's definitely worth a listen. And I think it just goes to show, I think, if you're in any doubt, which you shouldn't be, Doctor Who was cancelled last time in 1989 at a time where it really had someone at the forefront who was doing an amazing job. And it would have been so fantastic to have seen what was planned next. Unfortunately, we can't see it, but we can listen to it here with Thin Ice. A fantastic opener. It's building on everything that's gone before, and it's going from strength to strength. Every series I learned from the previous series, and it just goes from strength to strength. Season 25 is probably still my favourite Seventh Doctor season, and it's great to see that now with full extended editions with 5.1 surround sound and special effects, and that was fantastic. Season 26 is solid. I think especially now with the Blu-ray box set having Ghostlight extended, that's really enhanced that story. This just picks up and continues to take it to the next level. So I definitely recommend Thin Ice if you can. I believe it's download only now, unless you can go on eBay and get yourself a second-hand copy, which, to be fair, they, you know, if you're happy to wait, from what I've heard, they if you hang around you can get a good price. But yeah, so I really enjoyed this. One thing I will say is there's some great bonus features on the release, and my favourite story was when Andrew Cartmel talks about how he asked Mark Platt for a little, because he likes Doctor Who, but he's not a massive fan, and Mark Platt is a massive fan, and he said, Mark, could you give me a couple of pages just with everything I need to know about the Ice Warriors for so I can discuss with you the potential. And very quickly he sent him this document, and he said, "Cool, that was quick." He said, "I know." He said, "I've sent you the same document I sent you in 1989 when you asked for it back then," which I thought was a lovely twist. So yeah, there we go. If you like this video, if you want to see me doing more reviews of older Big Finish, do let me know, and I'm happy to do that. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe. Look forward to speaking to you soon.